I'm deeply grateful to Rabbi Leibish Becker and to Rabbi Chaim David Zwiebel and the officers of Agudah Yisrael for inviting me to come to speak about this very, very pressing problem of Parnassah. I would like to begin by telling you a very delightful story. A number of years ago, Rabbi Chatzkel Levenstein was the mashgiach in Parnassah Yeshiva. He was a person who had a hadras ponim as a very choshev a person. And one afternoon in Bnei Brak, he went with a Talmud. He came into a taxi. And the fellow who was the taxi driver was a Chiloni. He wasn't frum. But when he saw the hadras ponim of Rabbi Chatzkel, and he saw how many people had accompanied Rabbi Chatzkel to the taxi, he realized that this was somebody very special. So he decided that he was going to tell him a story. He wanted to make a favorable impression on Rabbi Chatzkel. So he said to him, Kvod Rav, I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about me and a few friends of mine. And he tells him that they had just finished their tour of duty in the army, and they decided to go on vacation. And they decided to go on a safari. And they went someplace to South Africa, and they were on safari. And he said, one day, early in the morning, one of our friends got up. Now, we always went together to make sure that nobody would be hurt. And one day, a fellow got up early, and he went out, and all of a sudden we hear him screaming. And we ran to see where he was, and we saw the most unbelievable thing, that a boa constrictor, a snake, had wrapped itself around our friend and was crushing him. And he was yelling. And we started taking rocks, and we threw rocks at the boa constrictor, and we took tree branches to try to knock the snake, the boa constrictor, off this fellow, and nothing helped. And he realized he was going to die. Now, we were not religious, but somebody said to him, say Shema Yisrael, you're going to die. So the fellow yelled, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And miraculously, the boa constrictor loosened its grip, and it just fell to the ground and slithered away. So Rabbi Chatzkel asked the cab driver, so what happened to him? He said, what do you mean, what happened to him? He came back to Eretz Yisrael, he started putting on tefillin every day, he started learning Torah, and he became a religious Jew. Today, he's a religious Jew. So Rabbi Chatzkel said, and what about you? He said, Rebbe, the snake wasn't wrapped around me. Now, of course, that's a ridiculous comment, because if somebody sees a serious problem and he sees how it's solved, obviously it should affect him. And I think that's the first thing that we have to know tonight. Tonight, Agudah Yisrael and all of us, all of the thousands of people who are going to hear the CDs of this talk, we've come as representatives of Klal Yisrael to help Rebbe Yisrael. We've come to help those people who are never employed, those people who are formally employed, those people who are newly employed and looking to enhance themselves, and those people who are underemployed. That's the purpose of this talk tonight, to see how each and every one of us can help different types of people in different situations when they're struggling in Parnassah. Now, we should never feel smug. And even if tonight we are in the position of giving and helping others, we should never think that it could never happen to us. As a matter of fact, there's a very interesting Orach Chaim HaKodesh. The Orach Chaim HaKodesh tells us in the Posik Dvorim Tezvov Posik Zayin, Ki yiyeh becho evyoin, asevet zayin indir an oraman, there will be within you a poor person. So the Orach Chaim says, why does it say Ki yiyeh becho, there will be within you? It should say Ki yiyeh evyoin b'Yisrael, me'achad achecha, one of your brothers. And the Orach Chaim tells us something frightening. He says, you know what it means? Becho bisiboscha. Do you know why there are poor people out there? Do you know why there are unemployed people out there? It's you. Hashem is testing you. Hashem wants to see, what are you going to do about that guy who doesn't have a job? What are you going to do about that guy who lost his job, who's in a position of transition? Do you care for him? Are you going to help him? That's why these poor people are there. These unemployed people are there. So we should be tested. And Hashem wants to see how we're going to react. And you know something? To me, this is one of the most fabulous midrashim. The medrash is in Bamidbar Rabba Chav Beis Ches, and it tells us about 4 terms of possessions and money, and each one teaches us something remarkable. The medrash says, Loma nikra shmo nechasim. Why is it called nechasim? Possessions are called nechasim. You know why? Shenichsim mizeh v'niglen lezeh. Possessions sometimes become revealed to one and then they get hidden from another. A person doesn't hold on to it forever. Why is it called zuzin? In the Gemara, $1 is called a zuz. Shezozim mizeh v'noislen lezeh. It moves from one person and it goes to another. Why is it called mamain? Why is it called money? You know why the Medrash says? The Medrash says it's telling you, what are you counting? You think you're going to have it forever? And ma'ois, we say money is ma'ois, ma la'es. What are you making such a big deal? It's only temporary. It's only ace. It's only for a while. So if we are in the position where we have nechasim, where we have money, where we have zuzin, we have the achrayus to make sure, if we don't want to lose it, to make sure that we're going to help other people, because we, in a sense, are being tested. And the Gemara says, Kol hamerachem al habriyos, anybody who cares and has rachmanis on others, merachmim alav min hashamayim. Hashem will have compassion on him. So tonight, all of us here and all of us who will hear this recording, we have a great responsibility to ourselves and to our families. Even if we are secure in our Parnassah, we have to go out and help those that don't have Parnassah yet, or those who lost their Parnassah, or those who feel who want to grow in their Parnassah and they don't have yet what they need for their families. And it's interesting, if you take a look in Shemoneh Esrei, we daven every day for just about everything. We daven for Parnassah, but not once do we say the word Parnassah. You know how we describe Parnassah in Shemoneh Esrei? The word Borech, blessing. In the bracha of Borech Aleinu, if you daven Nusach Sfard, you say it 6 times. If you daven it Ashkenaz, you say it 4 times. Borech Aleinu Hashem Elokeinu es Hashana Hazois. V'skol minei tzvos olatov v'sein bracha, or else v'sein talamot olavracha. Why do we say Parnassah? Why do we call it a bracha? You know why? Because we're asking Hashem, please give us back that bracha. Because having to go to work is really a curse. Because that's what Hashem said to Adam Arishain, with the sweat of your brow, you're going to have to eat bread. Really, I remember the first time I learned this Gemara, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky told it to us in Torah Das. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. Those of you who never heard this Gemara will be amazed. Do you know what the Gemara tells us? The Gemara tells us in Sanhedrin. The Gemara tells us how lucky we could have been if we would not have had the oil of Parnassah. The Gemara tells us, Chaval, what a shame, Al Shamas Godel Sha'avad Min Ha'olam. We all could have had an attendant. She'ilmolei Niskale Al Nachash. The Gemara Sanhedrin and Testament Beis. If the Nachash wouldn't have been cursed, Kol Echad Ve'echad Mi Yisrael. Could you imagine? Every Yid Hayamazamnin Lai Shnei Nachashim Tovim. Each one of us here would have had 2 nechashim, one on the right side, one on the left side. And you know what? You would be able to tell it to do everything. You know what Rabbi Yaakov writes in Emes Yaakov? Ki hanochash betchilas b'riyosai. In the beginning, the way the nachash was created, originally, hois aloi, intelligence, hashove, la'adam, it had intelligence, human intelligence. V'ya oilech u'medaber. It was able to speak. That's why Nachash and Chava had a conversation. K'moy adam mamish. Except, Rabbi Yaakov said, it didn't have free choice. It wasn't creative choice. But it had regular conversation. He walked on 2 feet, the Nachash did. So what could have happened is anytime you had to paint your house, you had to do carpool, you had to do anything, you had to go pick up something from the grocery store, the Nachash would have done it for you. That's exactly how it was meant to be. We were not meant to go to work. It's a curse. That's why we say, Borech, 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 give us a blessing. And I'll show you something absolutely incredible. I'll show you 6 terms, 6 words that both mean Parnassah and both mean a battle, because Parnassah is a battle. Parnassah is a war. You know what? We all know the word milchama, right? Milchama has the word lechem in it. Milchama means to fight a battle. Lechem is bread. The pasuk tells us, Yesh shever b'Mitzrayim. Yaakov Avinu said to his children, there's shever, there's food in Mitzrayim. Shever comes from the lashon of shavira, breaking. We know, for example, another term, teref. Teref nosan lireyav. The Eibush just says, David HaMelech says, teref, sustenance. But you know what it also means? Teref Yosef. Yosef was ripped asunder. So the word shever means break, yet it means parnassah. Milchama has lechem in it, teref, and then you have 3 more. Oichel. V'hasne einenu ukol. Ukol means to get destroyed. The sneh was not destroyed, but uchol is oichel, eating. Mozain is ammunition, but mozain is sustenance. And the same thing is with michya. Allah michya is on sustenance. Michya is mechias hamolek, wiping out. So it's really a battle to make parnassah. And that's what we have to help these people. We have to help all those that Nebuch are suffering. And you know what the pasuk tells us? HaKesef Yanas HaKoil. You each need money. You can't get away from it. That's what Shlomo HaMelech says. And Rashi says, Ein Kesef, Ein Suda. If you don't have money, you're not paying for this convention. And you don't have money, you're not bringing food home. And you're not bringing home Hanukkah gifts. And you're not bringing home nice clothes. We all need money. As a matter of fact, the Satmar Rebbe, one of my favorite stories, the Satmar Rebbe had to raise money for his moiset. So somebody once gave him $47. So the Rebbe said, what's $47? So the Rebbe said, so the fellow says to the Rebbe, it's Begamatru, your name, Yoel. So the Rebbe says, in the Heim, Flik Michrif and Yoelish. In the old country, they called him Yoelish. So you could be sure that this guy got he had to pay another $300 for the Rebbe. So if that's the case, we know also a very, very frightening Gemara. A frightening Gemara in Azov in Bava Metzia. And the Gemara says, La'olam yehei adam zohir b'tvuah. A person has to be careful to bring parnassah into the house. She'ein meriva mitzuya b'soich beisai shel adam ela al iskei tvuah. You know how Shalom Bayis problems start? When there's no money. And then there's tension. And the wife is asking the husband, how come we don't have enough food for the kids? How come I can't get clothes for me and the children? And the husband has to defend himself. And sometimes the wife has to have a second job and she's not bringing in enough. And that brings a lot of tension. So tonight, by showing every single one of you how we can get involved, we're going to help not only people get jobs and enhance their jobs, but we're going to help them have a normal home. We're going to help them be able to have Shalom Bayis itself. And so what are the solutions? What can each and every one of us do? Now, after I speak, you're going to hear this gentleman over here, Duvi Honig. Most of you never heard of him. I guarantee you within 5 years, he will become a household word in Klal Yisrael. Because he's a pioneer. And he and I have discussed many, many aspects of the Parnassah problem. And one of the things that we came up with, I had a name for it, but he had a better name. I feel one of the solutions is that every shul in the country, every shul in the world should have a GPS. You know what a GPS? A Gabbai Parnassah specialist. But he had a better name. He should be called the Parnassah HaKehillah or the Parnassah Paysach Krohn. And just like we have shidduch groups in every shul from now on, from this convention, we're going to make a suggestion that every shul should have a group of fellows that are involved in understanding the problems of Parnassah of everybody in the shul. Because if you know somebody that doesn't have a job, or somebody that's struggling in a job, it might be difficult to go over to him. But if you have a Parnassah, that's his job, then the fellow won't be embarrassed. Because this fellow, we feel that the Parnassah Paysach Krohn, or the Parnassah Kehillah, should find out and he should familiarize himself with all kinds of key people in different professions. Travel agents, real estate, builders, contractors, tutoring, car service, mortgages, catering, nursing homes. There's so many people in these professions and so many people that need help in these professions. But imagine if you had 2 or 3 experts, a Parnassah Kehillah, who would be able to give advice to people in shul. That would be amazing. And that's what we want should happen from this session. Just like years ago when we first spoke about Shidduchim, Invei HaGefen ve'Invei HaGefen started here at the Agudah Convention. That's what we want to start this year. Parnassah Kehillah, Parnassah Tzibur, people that are involved, and that's what you can do. Get involved. Start a Shidduch group. Start a Parnassah group in your Beis HaKnesses. I think the second attitude, the second thing that we have to do is the attitude that we have towards people who don't have jobs. Many, many times we look down on those people that never are unemployed. You should never, ever call somebody unemployed. You should say he's in the position of transition. Nobody wants to remain unemployed. They're transitioning. And when you tell somebody that he's in a position or a status of transitioning, that's more edel than being unemployed. As a matter of fact, the Orach Chaim writes, what does it mean, be'achad? People, even if they're poor, they could be the most special people in the shul. Never look down at somebody that doesn't have a good job. Maybe he doesn't have the mazel to have a good job, but he could be a erlich, a wonderful heilige yid. And you have to invite him to your house and have your children play with his children. And that's one of the things Duvi and I have discussed, that we have to inculcate in people that just because somebody doesn't have a job in shul, it could be for 2 years he's struggling. He still could be choshev, he could still be a Talmud Chacham, he could still be a noble person, and we have to help him. But you can never look down at a person. Another thing that I believe, that if somebody is about to retire, don't just retire. Take a look. Take a look in the koilos. Take a look in the places in your shul with our young people. They may want a job. They may want to buy your business. Just don't retire. And if you have to hire somebody, go to the yeshivas. Go to see where the brightest guys are. Maybe there's some young guys who really can't find a job, and you will be able to help them find a job. So now I want to tell you about 3 different things. And I hope that everybody will take out a pencil and paper, because I feel that it's very, very important to know about these 3 organizations that I'm about to tell you. There's a woman who is one of the most capable, one of the most brightest women that Klal Yisrael has today. She's a Satmar lawyer. Her name is Mrs. Ruchi Fryer. Now this woman is capable in many, many, many different fields. One of the things that she got involved with, and she brought me into this, was that she was dealing with Hasidic children that were at risk. She has an open house, both her and her husband. Many of these boys would come to their homes. They would give them suppers. They spend time with them. And she decided she's going to make an organization called B'derech. B'derech, to bring them back on the right derech. And she decided that she wants to make an official organization, and she asked me to be on the board. And we met a whole group of us together in her house, together with her husband, and each one gave suggestions. And I said to her, Mrs. Fryer, there's only one thing that you have to do for these kids. They know about singing, don't worry about the kumzitz, and don't worry about the chizuk. You got to give them jobs. They have no jobs, they have no place to go. They're wasting their time. Let's get them training. Let's get them education. And she went along with that. And together we went to a college called Bramson Ort. And there's a fellow there, Yair. I want to give you his telephone number. Yair, write it down. 718-259-5300, extension 223. I was at Bramson Ort. I saw how these Hasidic boys, over 100 of them already have graduated in these things like business accounting, graphic design, computer skills. Bochrim with payas, Bochrim who were almost at risk. And then they got their friends who were not yet at risk. And all these guys, most of these guys today have jobs. All these guys are going to marry well and feel good about themselves. Why? Because through B'derach they came to Bramson Ort and they took these courses and they were able eventually to get jobs. There's a second thing that I want to talk to you about. You know, everybody who knows me knows that I believe that Kew Gardens is the greatest neighborhood in the world. Some of the greatest people that we've had in Klal Yisrael come from Kew Gardens. Rabbi Eliyahu Teitelbaum, Avram Biederman from Shuvu, Avi Rottenberg, who you all know. And now we have a new generation of tremendous people. Moshe Pagro, who's very involved in Shidduchim. And we have somebody sitting here tonight. Again, it's only a matter of time till Klal Yisrael will know who he is. His name is Rabbi Aaron Katz, and he's here tonight. All of us in Kew Gardens know that Aaron is one of the most capable fellows who has done so much chesed that people know about and they don't know about. So Aaron and I met a few months ago, and he had a new idea. A new idea that I believe that we should support him and help him. He's raised half the money for it, but we've got to have this in Klal Yisrael. And he's ready to do it. And that is an employment training initiative. It's called ETI. And what he has lined up already is teachers that are ready to teach kids plumbing, electricity, residential heating, appliance repair, low voltage electric. Within 12 weeks, if you know a young man, no matter what age, and he wants to really get involved and get a job, within 12 weeks he can have training in this school if we can only get it off the ground. Aaron made a special trip tonight from Kew Gardens to be here this late hour so anybody could ask him about what he wants to do. And I'm telling you that if we, whether you do B'derach or whether you do with Aaron's training program, Rabbi Bender has a program like this for high school kids in Darkei Torah. These are people with great insight who understand that not every kid is going to be able to be a Koilo Yungaman. Not every kid is going to be able to sit and learn day and night. But even those who did learn, they all need Parnassah eventually. And this is a way how they can get a job. Within 12 weeks, they'll have a training. But no matter what I told you about Mrs. Fryer, and no matter what I told you about Aaron Katz, they are on a, what should I say, a smaller level than what I'm about to tell you about now. A number of years ago, this tzaddik right here, Duvi Honig, came up with an incredible idea. And that's called the Parnassah Network. Duvi has been in Lakewood many years, and he saw, Rachmana litzlan, families that were breaking up because young men with 4, 5, and 6 children had no jobs. And there was no future. Where not everybody can be a Rebbe. Where are these people going to get jobs? So Duvi decided that he is going to make what's called a Parnassah Network. This is a whole pamphlet, a whole booklet on everything that he's accomplished. One of the most important things that we have to learn about tonight so we can tell people is the incredible expo where thousands of people came last year and the year before. Hundreds and hundreds of people got jobs from that expo alone. Not only those people that were looking to get jobs came to the expo, but people who were looking to hire people. People who came there, and fellows in real estate, fellows in travel agent, travel in computers. They saw younger light, bright guys. They could learn Tzos, they could learn B'nai Yeshua, they could learn anything, so surely they can understand the contract. And so many of them got jobs. I spoke to a few of them. One guy told me, he said, my family was falling apart. I had no way of Parnassah. So what did Duvi start? And we have to start this, and that's why Duvi has to be supported. And he's going to tell you, what he made was a Parnassah Network business koila. Listen to this idea. Guys come, they learn in a koila. But part of the koila is learning Hilchos Choshen Mishpat, learning business law. And then, besides learning business law, there are fellows there that come and teach these young guys, and some of them are 28 and 30, how to write a resume, how to apply for a job. And there were fellows who told me, the guy said, I was lost, my family was falling apart, my wife and I, we were at a critical stage, and I came to the kollel, and I met a guy, and he told me how to write a resume, and I put whatever kishoros I had, and I got a job. It saved my family. Another fellow told me that he had an idea in Judaica, a very interesting type of becher that he had designed, or that he had a hold of. And he wanted to be able to sell it, but he didn't know marketing skills. So he came to this kollel, he was learning, but then he learned business skills. Then he learned from fellows who he could meet, who had marketing skills. And now, Baruch Hashem, he has a Parnassah. We have to know that these things exist. Bramson North exists. Aaron Katz's school is going to exist. Not a school, but a training program. And more than anything else, the Parnassah network thing. And you know something? It's absolutely amazing. Here, I have a letter that a woman wrote. She writes, just thought you might want to pull the advertisement for the job, as my husband accepted the position 2 weeks ago and started this morning. He's the only Jew working for the new company, and they anticipate now hiring a lot of people over the next few years. My husband said after his initial interview, it's the only time in their career that being a Jew is an asset in an interview. Because they saw the guy's a bright guy. The guys in Lakewood are bright fellows. Many of them are tremendous Talmidei Chachamim. But they needed the opportunity. And the Parnassah network is the thing that gives it to them. Finally, I just want to end just with this thought and a great little story. You know the Rebbe Melech. Many of you know that I go to Poland. I'm going in 2 weeks. You're all invited. And one of the places that we go to is the cave of the Rebbe Melech. And if you've never been there, you don't know what you're missing. Davening there is kamat like davening by Keva Rochel. There's something, Rabbi Dr. Samet and his wife are here, they can tell you what it means to daven by the Keva of Rabbi Melech. You are just transformed into a different world. It's just incredible. I can't understand it, but every single time we're there it happens. It's amazing. But the Rabbi Melech wrote something frightening, mamish. Manavu ala horim raglei mevase mashmiya sholei mevase toiv mashmiya Yeshua. It's a pasuk in Yeshaya Nun Beis. Omar Rebbe Elimelech. The Rebbe Elimelech said Shebe'ik v'sad Mashiach. In the time of Mashiach, Tisrabe chas v'sholem achloikis v'sinas chinam. There's going to be so many arguments in Klal Yisrael as we see today. Nobody can seem to get along with each other. V'al yedei zeh. And because of all the machlokes in every single circle in Klal Yisrael, Yiskalkalu Tzinoirei Hashefa Parnassas B'nei Yisrael. People are going to have problems in Parnassah because of all the machlokes. Ulam Migoydel Halachatz, the Rebbe writes, because the pressure will be so great. Yisoiru HaTalmidei Chachamim v'Hacharedim Lehishtadel La'aged Kol Yisrael B'Agudah Achas. You can see it yourself. They're going to come together B'Agudah Achas because people are going to see it's enough already. There are too many people suffering. We've got to help each other with Parnassah because it's so bad, and that's going to bring Achdus into Klal Yisrael. And then when there'll be Achdus, oh, that's when Mashiach is going to come. That's what he says. Manovu alahorim raglei mevase mashmiya sholem. When there'll be peace. When we're going to have a session at Agudah Yisrael, how to make Parnassah for people so there should be peace at home and peace in the community and peace in Klal Yisrael. Oh, then Mavasa Toiv, Mavasa Yeshua. That's when Mashiach will come. That's the final purpose of this. Tonight, every one of us must think, who do I know that needs help? Either I could advise him, or we'll have the Parnassah Tzibah help him, or we'll do something. Whether we get him involved with Aaron, Mrs. Fryer, Duvi Honig, Parnassah Network. I just want to end with this thing. Why it's so important to do what we can do tonight. I remember many, many years ago, there was a Sfarder Sharov here at Agudah Convention told one of the most adorable stories ever. He said, the Gemara says, in Gittin, if a person sees that money is tight, yasam mehen tzedakah. You should give it tzedakah. How are you going to give it tzedakah? If money is tight, how are you going to give it tzedakah? So he said that he grew up in Syria. One time he was in a post office in Damascus. And a farmer from a hick town came in with a big heavy package. He put it down on the table. So the clerk said, you can't mail this, it's too heavy. So he said, so what am I supposed to do? He said, you got to put on more stamps. He said, you put on more stamps, you make it heavier. He said, don't you understand? No. That's what's going to carry it. That's the same thing. If you see money is tight, you give tzedakah. All of us are busy. Nobody has time for anybody else. We're all so busy, especially in New York, right? But that's what you got to do. You got to take time out, because that's what's going to carry it, that the Eibush is going to protect you. Tonight, we have to listen and learn, what are we going to do for the Parnassah of the other people in shul, our brothers, our sisters, our cousins. And if we reach out to them through any of the programs that we spoke about and what you're going to hear from Duvi in a moment, then there'll be Shalom, then there'll be Parnassah, and then we'll be Zeicha to Achdus and Mashiach. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for listening.